Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. This is Orrin Johnson filling in for Sam Shad. Joining us today is Robert Delong, candidate for Sparks Municipal Court Judge, Department 2. Next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot chick magnet. March is chick season at Big R. All locations. Cute, adorable, and save 10% on all chick feed and supplies. Bring the kids. Chick season at Big R. Hardware, chicks, and a whole lot more.
Find your pot of gold at Carson Valley Inn during the Leprechaun Loop Progressive giveaways. Jackpot progresses $2,500 each drawing night up to $20,000. And $10,000 in grand prize giveaways guaranteed Saturday, March 30th. Get your share of Leprechaun loot at the Carson Valley Inn.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the heat back on today. Call us today and we'll fix it today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why freeze for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your furnace fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
Welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. This is Orrin Johnson filling in for Sam Shad. With me today is Robert Delong, who's a candidate for Sparks Municipal Court Judge. And which department is it?
Department 2.
Okay. Yeah. So tell us about yourself. Who is Robert Delong? What's sort of your work history? What's going on? Give us a quick bio.
Sure. So I'm a felony prosecutor with the Washington County DA's office. I've been an attorney for 17 years. I grew up here. I'm raising a young family here. I started my career clerking for Justice Hardesty, the Nevada Supreme Court. Then after that, I went into private practice and did commercial litigation for a little over 11 years, and then moved to the AG's office, and now with the DA's office.
So, what sort of litigation did you do? I'm curious. I don't even know. I know you. We work together sometimes. I've always enjoyed working with you, and one of the reasons why it's fun to get to host a show is stuff like this. I feel like the general public often does not have a good idea about judicial candidates. You don't have a political party. It's a nonpartisan race. All the rest of that stuff. And so, I always appreciate this opportunity. I think the voters who get to the bottom of their ticket and start making guesses like to know too. So tell me about that. We all know what criminal prosecutors do, but what were you doing in the private sector in the civil world before that?
Sure. So the firm specialized in water law, mining law, and then we did a lot of business disputes, at least in that office. And so it's a large regional law firm, so there's well over 100 lawyers in the firm. But our office did a lot of, like I said, mining law and business disputes. So contract disputes, businesses splitting up, dealing with the dissolution of the asset or the distribution of the assets, that kind of thing.
So you got high-powered stuff, big business, Nevada, water, that's where the money is because we live in the desert. And then you went to go work for the government. What was it that sort of caused you to make that transition?
Sure. Well, when I became a lawyer, my whole intention was to do criminal law initially, right? I wanted to be in the courtroom. That was always my goal, to be in the courtroom. I interned for the DA's office when I was in law school. But then once I finished with the Supreme Court, or when I was getting towards the end of my time there, there was a hiring freeze at the DA's office. And so then I got connected with Parsons, Bailey, and Latimer and kind of never looked back. But at some point it became I was flying to Vegas every other week, and I wasn't seeing my family very much, and I wasn't in the courtroom as much as I wanted to be. And so I kind of made the natural transition back to prosecuting, what I wanted to start doing, and I've been enjoying it ever since.
So what did you do at the AG's office?
AG's office, I was doing litigation, but I was also moving into prosecuting fraud crimes was the intent. But then it turned out it was going to be, the AG's office operates their criminal prosecution out of Carson City. Once again, my family's here in Sparks. And so I said, well, if there's an opening at the DA's office, I'll take that, and it all worked out.
Okay. And so how long have you been at the DA's office?
A little over 5 years now, I believe.
Okay. And now you're in the courtroom probably more than you want to be.
Every week.
As busy as it is. So tell us about that. What kind of cases are you doing? All that sort of thing as a felony prosecutor.
So felony prosecution, we're doing everything from burglaries, DUIs, felony DUIs, so it's third or fourth time DUI, domestic batteries, the more serious kind. They range in severity, right? And so the felony domestic batteries are people are pretty severely hurt sometimes, or it's multiple, right? They've been doing it over and over again. So those are primarily the crimes we're prosecuting, or I'm prosecuting.
And at the DA's office, there's a misdemeanor team where newer attorneys kind of start and all that sort of thing. So that's who's handling the lower level DUIs and all that sort of thing. And then obviously, you're more experienced, you're doing the felony stuff. Were you on the misdemeanor team, or did they let you get right up because you have some experience? Okay, no, I'm just curious.
I started on misdemeanors for sure. So I spent about 4 or 5 months on misdemeanors.
During the time that you're in private practice, did you ever do any criminal defense work?
Not at all. No, the firm didn't have any criminal component to it whatsoever.
I'm always surprised those big firms don't have somebody that can, help out their friends and family, or the big client's son who gets a DUI or something. Anyway, I was just curious.
I get the calls and I'd be like, I can't help. I'm sorry.
So you've been there for a while. You're doing well. What now has prompted you to want to go run for judge?
I think it's a natural transition from doing prosecution work to wanting to be a judge, right? You get to see and experience different judges and see how they handle their cases, and it's an opportunity to have a little more control in how the process, how the result of the process comes to be, right? So judges have the opportunity to not only impose sentences, but especially in the municipal court, turn people around, right? Sometimes felony prosecutions, by the end of the day, nobody wins, right? The victim's family's devastated. The victim's either traumatized or sometimes, they've even passed away, right? And then the defendant's family's devastated as well. And then the defendant's going away to prison. The municipal court's unique because it's an opportunity to turn people around before they get to that point, right?
All right. And that's a great transition. We're going to leave it there, and I want to talk more about specifically Sparks Municipal Court when we come back.
Unlock the loop this March at Tamarack Casino. Cash and free play giveaways all month, including a progressive jackpot giveaway up to $20,000 and a guaranteed $20,000 cash winner in the Golden Ticket Finale. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
Story County is leading Nevada. Home of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, Google, Tesla, Panasonic, and other world-leading companies. Story County provides thousands of tech, advanced manufacturing, and logistics careers for Nevadans. We're diversifying and driving Nevada's economy and generating millions in tax revenue and billions in economic activity across northern Nevada. Story County is leading Nevada's future.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
7 at 7 is a newscast built for your smartphone. It's a 7-minute newscast available every weekday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. at lvrj.com. We don't waste your time, and we give you the day's top stories.
We at the RJ have noticed some similarities between us and a certain BTS character, RJ.
Plus the latest in Las Vegas business, weather, health, and entertainment news. 7 at 7 streaming now on your smartphone.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. This is Orrin Johnson filling in for Sam Shad. With me today is Robert Delong. He's a candidate for Sparks Municipal Court Judge, Department 2. So the last segment, we just started talking about Sparks Municipal Court itself. So you're dealing, and part of the reason I asked that, you're dealing with the big heavy stuff, and now you're running for judge in municipal court, which does not deal with many, many years in prison or anything else like that. Tell us a little bit about Sparks Municipal Court, what kind of cases it handles, what does it do?
Sure. So it handles most of the traffic offenses in Sparks. It also handles its most serious cases are domestic batteries, first or second, and DUIs. And then it also handles misdemeanor offenses across the board, so trespassing and that type of offenses as well.
Do they do any small claims or anything like that, or is it just basically all criminal?
No, all the small claims, civil type work is handled by the justice courts. So the municipal court is just handling the criminal. Traffic citations are now civil, low-level traffic citations. So if you're not getting into reckless or DUIs, it's handled as a civil matter, but it's not the same as the disputes being handled in justice courts.
We're going to talk about traffic tickets in a little bit, because that's weirdly sort of an interesting thing and something that winds up impacting a lot of people in sort of unusual ways. One of the things that we're seeing sort of all over the place in a lot of different courts at every level is specialty court programs, where we're trying to carrot and stick people into mental health treatment or drug treatment or that sort of thing, and not just crime and punishment and that sort of thing. What sort of programs like that does Sparks Municipal Court have?
It's my understanding they have a alcohol DUI court, but they don't have a drug court. That's actually one of the things I'd like to see implemented. They also...
So tell us about that. What do you think is missing there with respect to that, and explain what that what a municipal court, drug court kind of looks like?
Sure. So these courts are unique, right? We call them drug courts and DUI courts, but really they come into play after someone has been arrested and then convicted, and they have the opportunity to say, yeah, I want to get into a program. And so it's utilizing the courts to sort of oversee their treatment program and oversee their progression to make sure they address whatever underlying issue caused them to come before the court in the first place. And so what they're doing is they're coming back to the court on a regular basis. They're being connected with service providers, and then the court's seeing and saying, hey, have you been doing this? Have you been progressing in this plan? Have you been showing up? And then are they showing up to court as well, right? They're voluntary programs, but they've found to be very, very effective. Any of these programs is going to have individuals who don't succeed, but the success rates are very high for the drug and alcohol court programs, and that's why I think we're seeing them at almost every level, right? And once again, if we can address these problems early, it's the best opportunity our community has to prevent, really sad outcomes for some of these cases.
So then the next question is, now you don't practice in Sparks Municipal Court, right?
Not currently, no.
So the prosecutors who are prosecuting cases Sparks Municipal Court are the Sparks City Attorney's Office, not the Washington County DA's office. And so that's, so I know that you're in Sparks Justice Court all the time, because I see you there, I'm there all the time. But you're less familiar with Sparks Municipal Court. Is that, tell us about that. Some people might say there's a lack of familiarity with it. There's also, on the other hand, a fresh set of eyes. So why Sparks Municipal Court? Why not Sparks Justice Court, where you're more familiar with it? Tell me, I guess, why you were looking at that seat in Sparks Municipal Court.
Well, like I said, I think the Sparks Municipal Court's a special place where there's opportunities to turn people around, right? That doesn't mean they don't exist in the same way in Sparks Justice Court. And I guess people get confused. They're like, well, municipal court, justice court, what are these things, right?
That's part of the reason you're here, is because these things are important to know and almost nobody does.
Yeah, and so the Sparks Justice Court encompasses a greater area of Sparks, right? Encompasses the county areas that the Washington County Sheriff's Office is handling. It also handles matters that are progressing to the felony level. And so there's a broader range of cases that come before the Sparks Justice Court. The Sparks Municipal Court's a little more specialized. It handles the traffic matters, obviously, but then it also handles all these misdemeanor cases that impact our community. And the draw for me is, I mean, this is the community I grew up in. It's the community I'm raising my family in. My wife has a business here. So to have an opportunity to make an impact in our community in that way is what drew me to this.
All right, and that's a great place to stop for this segment, but we'll be right back.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. This is Orrin Johnson filling in for Sam Shad. If you're just joining us, with me today is Robert Delong, who's a candidate for Sparks Municipal Court Judge, Department 2. So tell us, you know, the kind of broader politics of it. Don't worry, I'm not getting into partisan politics, so you're not allowed to talk about it. You're a judicial candidate. But the people talk about judicial philosophy and that sort of thing, and I think a lot of times they're thinking of Supreme Court justices and whether or not you're going to, you know, protect free speech or whatever else. But that's not really what a municipal court judge does. Nevertheless, individual judges, even at the municipal court, have a judicial philosophy. And tell us what yours is. What's the sort of philosophical approach that you'd bring to the bench if you're elected?
Sure. I mean, I think the number one focus for a judge and for my judicial philosophy is the law. Like, the judge's number one guiding focus should be, are we following the law? Is it being implemented appropriately, right? In every single case. But like you said, different courts have different levels of impact. This isn't a position where policy is being implemented per se, but this is a position where my philosophy is that the judge has to take into account not just the prosecutor's case and the charges that are being brought, but also the victims and our community, how these cases impact our community, our business owners, and also the judge has to take into account the defendants and the criminal history of the defendant, and consider all three of those things when making any decision. Because it doesn't make sense if you have an individual that you could turn around that that might have a one-off mistake, right? Anyone can get a DUI and they can move on with their lives, right? But then you have a person who, I mean, sometimes we see shocking case histories at the DA's office, 59 misdemeanor convictions. At that point, we're doing the community a disservice, all of the victims a disservice, and that defendant a disservice.
So how do you balance it? And one of the interesting things that we've seen, the pendulum has always swung in the last century. There's sort of, people want to rehabilitate, and then there will be a tough on crime wave, and then people worry about overreach by the government and holding the government to account. Because obviously we've all seen every government official, from cops, prosecutors, everything, who stepped over the line. When I was a prosecutor, I'm sure that I colored outside the lines, not on purpose, but it happens to us all. How do you strike the balance between community safety, preserving individual liberty, all that sort of thing? Because the municipal court is really where the rubber meets the road on that sort of thing.
Absolutely. It really is just a case-by-case basis. It has to be approached. That has to be the approach of every judge, right? When I look at cases, I can't say, well, we need to be harder on crime, and so every case we're going to lean one direction, right? Individuals need to be held accountable, right? The individual with 59 misdemeanor convictions, some accountability is needed in that situation.
That's probably fair,
right? But if it's a young man who's facing the court for the first time for a misdemeanor, disturbing the peace or something like that, there's no sense in saying, well, now we've decided hard on crime and we're going to continue to be hard on crime. We need to make a decision in that case to try to get that individual so he doesn't come through those doors again.
So the ones I'm interested in the most are my clients who, as a criminal defense attorney, who they don't have 59 convictions, but maybe they got 3 or 4. I don't think they're lost yet. Maybe the city attorney wants to throw the book at them. And there's kind of compelling cases either way. What sorts of things in those sort of middle cases that are a little bit tougher? What do we do with those folks?
Well, I mean, it's kind of repeating myself, but it really is, you got to look at each individual case, right? And sometimes when you look at a case and you say, well, he's got four convictions already, right? So is it time to throw the book at him? Maybe not. Maybe this one was unique. It's different from the others, right? If you look at 2 or 3 disturbing the pieces, having alcohol in public, those kind of offenses, and then all of a sudden you see a fight, you think, oh, it's the same thing, right? It's the continuum. But the facts of that case might be different. It might be closer to a self-defense kind of a situation, or a family member was involved. And then time frames, right? You got to look at how long ago were these offenses. If a kid picked up a couple of convictions when they're 18, 19, 20, and then it's been 10 years, it's a whole different ballgame than if this is your 4th offense in 8 months, right? And so a court needs to look at all that along with their greater criminal history and how things are going in their lives, which is why you listen to the defense attorneys as well, right? Like I said, people need to be held accountable, but each case needs to be considered individually.
No, that's fair. So we got a couple minutes left, and I want to talk about traffic tickets. So sure. Most of the time, regular sort of just folks living their lives, if they have an interaction with law enforcement that's negative at them, it's a traffic citation, a speeding ticket, or something else like that. A couple of years ago, Nevada changed all these traffic citations from misdemeanor offenses. A speeding ticket used to be a misdemeanor, and now they're civil infractions. And I think that's been a terrible thing, because I think that the due process has diminished as a result of it. Have you thought about that at all? And I'm curious about what you will do. So a lot of times now there's no prosecutor involved. It's just maybe the police officers show up, all that sort of thing. What do you do in that unique scenario to sort of make sure that before the government takes money away from people, even if it's just a few $100, that the adequate amount of due process is involved with even something as seemingly minor as a traffic ticket? Well, so the standard's different, right? It's not a criminal standard anymore. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. And so that does change things. But I think what's important is for the court to at least have communication with the stakeholders, and particularly the police department, to make sure officers are showing up, that the evidence is being heard and considered carefully in each case, that you don't have situations where
traffic tickets are being decided just on the affidavit of an officer that was written that night.
That's allowed. The officer can just send in a sign. Does that make you uncomfortable? It seems like it does. Well, I'm glad to see that it does.
Well, it does to some degree, but I think there's a few things the courts can do, because this is a brand new field for the courts, right? Mm-hmm. It's very new with the procedures, how they're handling these cases. And this can also be something of an educational tool for the public. If people coming through the doors to challenge their ticket have all the information, because it's on the website, to say, look, you can get these officers to appear or require them to appear. You have to go through these steps. If that's all laid out well, the officers will have to show up, right? If we're not doing that and saying, well, look, they're allowed to just send an affidavit, you didn't do anything, we're moving forward from here, that can cause issues, of course.
And unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much, Robert. I really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Snorkel personnel lifts are engineered beyond the industry norm to an uncommon level of safety and durability, and with an eye towards sustainability. They're also designed to be simple to operate and maintain. Snorkel, always at the cutting edge of progress.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Find your pot of gold at Carson Valley Inn during the Leprechaun Loop Progressive giveaways. Jackpot progresses $2,500 each drawing night up to $20,000. And $10,000 in grand prize giveaways guaranteed Saturday, March 30th. Get your share of Leprechaun loot at the Carson Valley Inn.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. This has been Orrin Johnson filling in for Sam Shad. You can join us 24/7 at NevadaNewsmakers.com.